Always, when Sam Elliott enters a room, people stop and take notice. Years have added a special weight to his presence, a depth that few possess, making him a magnet of quiet strength and gentle wisdom. Long before the rumors, his commitment and tenderness and love stretched across decades, borne out clearly in every lingering glance and softly spoken word to the woman who became his world. Through the ups and downs of daily life, he stood steady, a protector, a companion, and a confidant wrapped into one. Even among those who watched from the outside, whispers of admiration followed him. That strength ran deeper than his lean frame or signature mustache. It radiated strongest in his devotion, never wavering regardless of the challenges they faced. Time tried to weather that bond, but instead, it only deepened the connection, one year after the next, until being together was as natural as drawing breath. Now, as the world leans in to hear the truths behind the stories, Sam's candid words spark recognition in anyone who's held fast to love for a lifetime. His open confession at age 79, admitting a passion that has never faded, reminds everyone that real devotion, against all odds, is possible, and that the best stories are not about looks or fame, but the steady, unshakable force of the heart. Amid the rolling hills and golden sunlight of Northern California in the summer of 1944, Sam Elliott's story quietly took root. His days first echoed with the sound of his father's boots striding out before dawn, heading off to work in a role many never even knew existed. As a government animal control specialist, his father's job carried him deep into rugged stretches of wilderness, managing the balance between untamed creatures and the expanding world of people. Nature was both challenge and companion in that work. Young Sam grew up with tales of mountain lions, wild cattle, and early mornings spent tracking shadows through mist-strewn fields. Back at home, there was a different kind of rhythm. His mother's shoes hardly rested, either, as she balanced the demands of teaching high school students by day and motivating a chorus of neighbors in her bustling fitness classes by night. Her energy filled their home with a constant encouragement to learn and to move, turning everyday errands into lessons and laughter into exercise. For Sam, the blend of their worlds was inescapable. He saw responsibility written in all the small ways his parents shaped the town around them, whether it was corralling wild animals for safety or shaping young minds and healthy bodies. Those quiet foundations beneath the California sky set the early scene for a life every bit as unique and enduring as the landscapes he called home. However, Sam Elliott's passion for acting began at a very young age. Even as a child, Elliott felt drawn to the world of performance, finding inspiration in movies and stage plays whenever he could. While others his age dreamed of more common careers, Sam's interest in acting kept growing. Yet this dream was met with skepticism at home. His father, known for a practical approach to life, believed that a stable future depended on following a traditional path. He viewed acting as an unpredictable choice, one that did not promise a secure income or an easy life. Instead, he pushed Sam toward completing college, hoping that earning a degree would open doors to steady work. This difference in viewpoints sometimes led to tension in the family, as Sam tried to balance respect for his father's wishes with the pull of his artistic goals. Despite the pressure to choose a more reliable path, the urge to perform never left him. During those early years, Elliott would secretly rehearse lines and practice character voices, hoping that one day he'd have the chance to prove that his childhood passion could become something real. He watched actors on television with admiration and imagined himself up there, feeling that this was not just a whim, but something at the core of who he was. As Sam got older, this longing grew stronger, even though he was very aware of the risks and challenges ahead. He had to wrestle with his father's doubts and try to carve out his own sense of confidence, wondering if it was possible to stand by his ambitions without losing the connection to his family's expectations. Through these struggles, the seeds of determination were planted, shaping him even before he ever stepped on a real stage or in front of a camera. His early life became a quiet battle between hope and realism, with Sam finding small ways to nurture his dream, even in the shadow of parental concern. Growing up, Sam Elliott faced a powerful clash of dreams and expectations within his family. While his heart was set on becoming an actor, a path that felt utterly right for him, his father had other plans. The older Elliott had firm ideas about what defined a respectable life, favoring a steady, conventional career over pursuing something as unpredictable as acting. This difference in vision built a wall between father and son, turning every conversation about the future into a battlefield. Sam's unwavering conviction that acting was his destiny only widened the rift. Even as he began chasing his aspirations, the burden of his father's doubts was never far behind. Each attempt at bridging the gap only seemed to pour more fuel on the fire. This strain did not pass with time. Years later, the scars of those early battles lingered, with wounds that no amount of distance or success could quite erase. The heartbreak of not being understood or supported by his own father left emotional marks on Sam, shaping not just his career, but the very core of his outlook on life and family. Still, even with the disagreements between Sam Elliott and his father about what his future should look like, Sam never lost sight of the important lessons he learned growing up. Though their ideas about careers were different, Sam knew that his father's doubts came from a real place of care, wanting Sam to have a stable and safe job. Instead of clashing with bitterness, Sam picked up on the example his father set when it came to working hard. Day after day, Sam saw what it meant to show up no matter how tough things got, to do a job right, and to keep going even when life was unpredictable. That work ethic, given to him through actions as much as words, became a guiding force in the way Sam handled his own ambitions. He admired that his father cared so much, and even though it sometimes meant facing stern advice or warnings about life setbacks, Sam found value in those moments. Over time, he was able to respect the fact that his father's worries about acting came from wanting the best, and Sam carried that mixture of care and drive with him into the world. He looked back and realized there was space for both dreams and practical lessons, rooted in the quiet, persistent strength he had learned at home. Sam's story became one about how a father's guidance, even when it doesn't match a child's vision, can leave a lasting impact if there is understanding and appreciation for the intention behind it. Suddenly, an ordinary day in Sam Elliott's youth turned into the defining moment of his life. At 18, just as adulthood was dawning with its own set of hopes and expectations, Sam's world was shaken to its core by the unexpected passing of his father from a heart attack. In that moment, the ambitions and dreams of a young man were replaced by a heavy silence in the family home. The loss carried an even deeper sting for Sam, and his father had not fully reconciled certain disagreements that lingered in the shadowy corners of their relationship. The unresolved tension and words they never exchanged became a silent companion for Sam, following him through each chapter of his journey. While others his age might have been preoccupied with lighter concerns, Sam was left to navigate the storm of grief mixed with regret. The sorrow weighed on his heart, shaping his understanding of family, and, in many ways, himself. The echo of that final day resonated beneath all the accomplishments that would eventually come his way, coloring his early days and casting a subtle influence over his choices and pursuits. In facing the world without his father's guidance or approval, Sam was forced to wrestle with feelings of abandonment and unfinished business that matured him in ways few could understand. Through time, the memory of that unresolved relationship remained a powerful undercurrent, forever entwined with the man he would become, quietly steering him through moments great and small. After the sudden death of his father, Sam Elliott found himself forced to navigate a world that would never feel the same. The loss came without warning, stealing away any hope of closure or the chance to work through the unfinished business that often lingers in a parent-child relationship. The emotional pain was overwhelming, leaving Sam grappling with grief and all the uncertainty that comes in the wake of such a deep loss. Yet, he never allowed the profound absence of his father to define him or anchor him in despair. Instead, Sam drew strength from the tragedy, using it as a turning point to reassess everything he valued. The sorrow fueled his determination, guiding him to face each day with a new sense of purpose. He began thinking differently about his own path, questioning the meaning and priorities of his life, considering what truly mattered and what could wait. In this journey, Sam Elliott grew more resilient, finding ways to channel his feelings into motivation rather than letting them wear him down. The burden of regret for things unsaid or undone lingered, but Sam faced it with a quiet dignity that would become his hallmark, striving to make the most of every opportunity going forward, always mindful of time lost and lessons learned from the experience. After the death of his father, Sam Elliott faced a moment that would completely change his path. He was in college at the time, trying to follow the plans others had set for him. Losing his father was not just heartbreaking, it shook the very foundation of the life he thought he should live. In that silence that grief can bring, Elliott started to look inward, asking himself questions he might never have considered before. That deep period of thinking made him see just how much his father's loss affected his sense of who he was and what he wanted from life. He chose to leave college, a decision that carried weight and meaning beyond just academics. It was not a move made lightly, but instead one that signaled a shift in direction. Elliott knew dropping out was a step away from the expectations that had been set for him. It was also a step toward finding out what really mattered, giving him the time and space to consider possibilities that might not have occurred to him before. Instead of moving forward on the traditional path, he chose a route that felt more true to himself, shaped by sorrow, but also by a growing sense of purpose. Even looking back on his life and career, the weight of his father's doubts seemed to follow Sam Elliott. He once talked about how, before his father died, the older man seemed convinced that his son was going to go down the wrong path. These final thoughts stayed with Elliott. Instead of breaking him, they became something of a motivator, a source of inner tension that shaped how he approached his work. The idea that his father might have died disappointed or worried about his future gave Elliott a sharper edge and a clear point to prove. It didn't make things easier. If anything, it made the journey more complicated. The memory of his father's skepticism did not fade into the background. Whenever he struggled in his early career, he found himself thinking about it, almost as if the challenge was to rewrite the ending of his father's story, to replace doubt with pride. There was a kind of grief in it, but also a driving need to succeed, to show that the path he chose wasn't the wrong one after all. That voice from years ago became a measure in his mind, and every achievement felt not just like a personal victory, but a hard-won piece of evidence that he'd triumphed in the face of a very personal adversity. In this way, his father's perspective, whether fair or not, added a complicated but powerful layer to his journey, making Elliott's career not only a pursuit of personal fulfillment, but an ongoing conversation with the memory of a father who never saw what his son eventually became. Meanwhile, during his formative college years in Vancouver, an unremarkable decision for Sam Elliott turned unexpectedly important. While navigating his studies, Sam had also joined the local production of Guys and Dolls, expecting little more than another routine experience on stage. However, amidst the ordinary rehearsals and daily grind, he received a kind word of encouragement that carried far more weight than he could have predicted. This gesture was neither elaborate nor dramatic, but its timing was perfect. When someone believed in him at a point where uncertainty crept in, the simple support became the spark that shifted something inside him. Confidence that had hovered beneath the surface began to take root. The gentle guidance gave him the nerve to take risks he might otherwise have avoided. Each evening performing on stage, he recalled that moment, drawing strength from it, and pushing onward in the face of self-doubt. The impact of that encouragement stayed with him, shaping his choices and deepening his commitment to the craft. He returned to rehearsals with a clearer purpose, recognizing that even small acts of kindness can change one's path. In that Vancouver theater, with little fanfare, Sam found the courage to imagine that his dreams were possible after all. Soon after the musical performance, something unexpected happened that changed everything for Sam Elliott. In the days that followed, the city newspaper published a deeply favorable review that centered specifically on Elliott's stage presence. The writer of the column did not hesitate or hedge their opinion, making it clear that Elliott's performance had a standout quality. The article went beyond polite praise, boldly suggesting that Elliott should abandon any thought of an ordinary path and truly consider a career as a professional actor. This public recognition, coming from such a trusted and respected platform, was not lost on the young artist. Elliott had always dreamed of performing, but up until that moment, he had only the whisperings of his own hopes to guide him. With the words of the city's newspaper echoing in his mind, he finally felt seen and validated in a way that reached deep into his ambition. That review became more than just a passing compliment. It ignited the conviction Elliott needed. Encouraged and emboldened by that public endorsement, he began to take definitive steps toward pursuing acting as his life's work. Setting aside his doubts as he moved steadily toward the world of professional theater and beyond, determined to make that newspaper's prophecy come true. After experiencing a pivotal moment in Vancouver that changed everything, Sam Elliott recognized the signs guiding him toward something greater. Instead of hesitating, he listened closely to the encouragement he had received, which became a beacon leading him through uncertainty. With his resolve strengthened, he decided to uproot his life and move to Hollywood, a city already crowded with dreamers and determined souls. Every step into the unknown was fueled by the memory of that supportive voice, echoing in his mind whenever self-doubt crept in. Hollywood's relentless pace and stiff competition didn't deter him. The energy of the city matched his own sense of purpose as he navigated new neighborhoods, audition rooms, and studio lots, each day grinding toward his goal. Whenever weariness pressed in, Sam recalled the encouragement from Vancouver and reminded himself that this journey was about more than fame. It was about carving out his own place in the world. Through patience and perseverance, the guiding light that had sparked his move continued to illuminate the path ahead, shaping his character and sharpening his ambitions as he pressed on through the whirlwind of Hollywood life. Instead of following the typical route many struggling actors take, which usually means waiting tables or working in small service jobs, Sam Elliott found his own way. His background was filled with the skills and values of outdoor life, having grown up with a rugged sense of independence that came from time spent in nature and hands-on work. This helped shape how he approached the tough years before he gained recognition as an actor. While other aspiring performers hustled in noisy restaurants, Elliott chose construction work. Construction was hard and physical, but it fit his straightforward spirit and gave him a practical way to support himself without losing sight of his dreams. Day after day, he carried lumber, poured concrete, and worked on building sites, blending the grind of manual labor with the hope burning quietly underneath. Long hours under the sun or in raw weather conditions gave Elliott a kind of grit that set him apart when he stood in line at auditions. This willingness to find a different path helped him endure far more than the ordinary anxieties of show business. It gave him stories, scars, and a different kind of strength. Stepping onto a set later in his career, he didn't forget those days early on, when calloused hands and tired muscles were the price of chasing after a dream. Elliott's construction work didn't just pay the bills. It fed his determination, grounded his character, and helped him become the unique figure that audiences came to respect and remember. During a time of rapid economic growth in California, jobs in construction were plentiful and offered a practical way to earn a steady income. Instead of seeing himself only as an aspiring actor, Sam Elliott made the smart choice to dive into construction work to support himself while chasing his dreams on the stage and screen. This decision was anything but random, reflecting a clear understanding of the opportunities right in front of him. The building boom across California meant hard hat jobs were often available for anyone ready to put in the effort. For someone as hardworking as Sam Elliott, it just made sense to pick up these jobs, especially since acting roles were unpredictable and often scarce. Every day on site, he became a part of the bustling world that shaped the state's skylines, working side by side with others who knew the value of sweat, timing, and teamwork. Even when auditions came up or roles seemed just within reach, construction paid the bills and gave him the flexibility to keep going. In many ways, this practical foundation supported his persistence in acting, letting him stick with his ambitions despite the uncertainty and competition of Hollywood. The work might have been tough, but it fit with Sam Elliott's straightforward nature and strong work ethic, helping forge the grounded persona for which he would later become well known on screen. Growing up, Sam Elliott took on construction work without realizing how much it would shape his future. Spending days outside, lifting, sweating, and working with his hands, he learned lessons no acting class could ever offer. The physical nature of the job gave him a real sense of endurance and the ability to push through tough situations, creating a base of toughness few can fake. Over time, his body grew strong, his presence steady, and his straightforward way of dealing with challenges became part of who he was. When he finally stepped in front of a camera, Elliott carried with him the real experience of hardship and grit, the confidence of someone who knew what it meant to finish a job, no matter the conditions, made his performances more believable, especially when he played characters who faced the wild or the unforgiving open road. The outdoors became second nature to him. Audiences quickly saw that he didn't just act rugged. He was rugged. Roles that needed a sense of steely resolve or a quiet, weathered strength were easy fits. As he brought these characters to life, the skills and attitude built on construction sites long ago became his signature. Whether sitting silently on a porch or telling hard truths by a campfire, everything about him, the way he carried himself, the deep tone of his voice, the calm with which he faced danger, reflected those early days of physical labor under the open sky. These qualities stayed with him, shaping how he approached both his work and the characters audiences loved most. Throughout his expansive and diverse acting career, Sam Elliott has become a familiar face in military roles, often standing out due to his tall, imposing frame and commanding presence. When casting agents seek someone capable of truly inhabiting the uniform, they are drawn to Elliott's natural authority and the gravitas he brings to every performance. Whether he is portraying a young soldier eager to prove himself, or a seasoned officer weighed down by experience, Elliott's physical attributes, and reserved confidence make him a compelling embodiment of military strength. His presence on screen does not need loud speeches or exaggerated gestures. Instead, it speaks through a steady gaze or a well-timed line. The camera seems to hold its breath when he appears, convinced he will command any scene much the way a general commands respect from a room full of soldiers. People watching his films often remember the way he wears authority as easily as a jacket, creating characters that feel authentic and lived in. Over the years, Elliott's collection of military roles has become a testament not only to his skills as an actor, but to the timeless appeal of characters who carry both power and responsibility. His performances invite viewers to believe they are witnessing someone who has truly walked in military boots, carrying stories of leadership, sacrifice, and strength in every frame. Simultaneously balancing college classes and long days laboring in construction, Sam Elliott pushed himself in ways most people never see beyond the screen. Yet, away from the cameras, and before Hollywood gave him those gruff, iconic roles, Elliott carved out another path of discipline and duty. He joined the California Air National Guard, and dedicated a significant part of his early life to this commitment. The choices he made in service were not, for him, a side note to an acting dream. They became a true influence on his outlook and development as a person. The strict routines, the camaraderie, and the sense of mission gave Elliott a sense of structure and responsibility that ran deeper than acting rehearsals or the unpredictability of the film business. There, in uniform, Elliott learned humility, patience, and the real meaning of team effort, all valuable lessons that he would later bring into each character he played, and every film set that became his workplace. He believed that the discipline demanded by military training helped him focus and persevere, especially when breaking into acting seemed nearly impossible. Friends and colleagues have noted how his years in the Guard gave him a steadiness and reliability not always common in the entertainment industry. Elliott himself mentioned that this experience served as a foundation, reinforcing the values of hard work, loyalty, and resilience, which defined much of his personal and professional journey. Through long, uncertain stretches and the inevitable setbacks of a creative career, he always remembered the steadiness that military service provided him. Those days in the Guard did not just fill out a resume. They shaped a man who brought authenticity, resolve, and quiet strength to his craft on and off the screen. Looking back on his time in the military, Elliott often sees it as more than a chapter in his life. It is a cornerstone that shaped who he became as a person and a performer. The discipline he learned during those formative years set the tone for how he managed challenges both on and off screen. He talks about the impact of early mornings, shared responsibilities, and the necessity of clear communication, all of which laid a foundation for leadership that he carried well beyond his service. During moments of stress or uncertainty, he remembers how standing firm and keeping a calm presence became second nature in the military, and these same qualities filtered into his approach to every film set. When he stands before a camera or works with a director, the command of his presence and the sense of control reflect the leadership skills that were not only taught, but hammered home through experience. Over time, discipline and decisiveness became central to his identity, giving him a quiet confidence that resonates in the gravitas and authenticity recognized by his fans. The way Elliott approaches his roles, with careful attention and unwavering commitment, flows directly from lessons learned in uniform, each decision colored by the clarity and responsibility expected in service. As a result, his performances feel lived in and real, each character infused with the steady integrity and focus that were forged in those demanding early days, leaving a mark that continues to influence his work and the impression he makes on those around him. Gradually, Sam Elliott made his way into Hollywood, not by stepping straight into the spotlight, but through the slower path of smaller parts and steady work. He first appeared on screen in an uncredited role in the Kirk Douglas western The Way West. That initial moment, though brief, opened the door for Sam to find more work, and he started landing supporting roles. One of his notable early gigs was appearing in episodes of the television police procedural Felony Squad. The parts he took on were not major ones, but each was a step forward, and helped him learn more about the industry with every opportunity. Working alongside other actors while taking on these supporting characters, Sam gained valuable experience at a time when many struggled for even fleeting moments of screen time. Rather than skyrocketing overnight, his progress was steady, marked by persistence, and a willingness to take on roles that others might have passed over. These early experiences, centered on real work and resilience rather than instant fame, formed the foundation for his later recognition and iconic status in film and television. Eventually, after taking on several small roles, every part contributed to refining his craft. Each gig, minor as it may have seemed, gave him a chance to learn. On television and in film, these roles were the steady steps of someone determined to find his place. At first, they might have gone unnoticed by the public, but those within the industry began to see a dedicated actor at work. He used these opportunities to practice different characters, work with various directors, and get comfortable on set. Even when the parts were short, he paid close attention to every detail, whether that meant perfecting a line or reacting just right in a background scene. Over time, his presence grew more familiar to casting professionals and producers. These modest beginnings were not flashy or headline-making, but they provided steady job experience and taught him about the business of acting from the ground up. He learned how to handle scripts, take direction, and build connections. The industry insiders who watched his early work were the same people who would help him move to bigger projects later, and he knew that every small moment on screen was a chance to show his reliability and talent. Without these early roles, he would not have built the foundation required for a lasting career. With each project, no matter how small, he came one step closer to more significant opportunities and wider recognition, slowly cementing his future in the field. As the first steps in his journey, Sam Elliott's early projects may have seemed unremarkable at the time, yet they played a key role in shaping his future. These smaller roles allowed him to get his foot in the door and meet the people who could help move his career forward. Even though these projects didn't make big waves in Hollywood, they gave Sam the space, an opportunity to practice his craft, letting him grow as an actor and slowly build confidence. By showing up for each job with dedication, he proved to others that he could be counted on to deliver what the part required. Bit by bit, word spread among casting directors and producers about his reliability and his real talent. During these years, he became more than just another face in the crowd. People started to recognize his unique look and the authenticity he brought to every character, setting him apart from the rest of the hopefuls trying to make it in the business. The solid groundwork laid during these formative experiences ended up being the real reason that Elliott was able to move successfully into bigger opportunities, with the right people behind him and a reputation that spoke for itself. Although Sam Elliott's appearance in the world of big movies began in a quiet way, his first major step into Hollywood's spotlight came in the classic film Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. In this beloved Western, starring Paul Newman and Robert Redford, Elliott's role was brief and did not even include a character name, being simply called card player Naru. Still, this job was far from ordinary because the film itself would go on to become one of the most memorable Westerns in history. Sitting at that card table among other actors, Elliott was a small puzzle piece in a much bigger picture, but even then there was something about his calm demeanor and strong mustache that hinted at his future as a standout presence on the screen. Though the role did not give him many lines or much time at center stage, it marked a pivot in his path, giving him the key experience he needed to move from unknown to someone whose face audiences would come to recognize. The significance of this appearance extended beyond those few moments on film, acting as a quiet signal to casting directors that here was a performer ready for more, a talent worth watching. With the release and success of Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, more doors would eventually open for Elliott, paving the way for bigger and better parts in the years to come. However, even though Sam Elliott's part in the film seemed small at first, it opened important doors for him in Hollywood. The movie's massive box office success meant that Sam's rugged look and memorable presence were noticed by millions. At the same time, audiences were watching Catherine Ross in a leading role, and though Sam and Catherine never appeared in a scene together, their time on the project overlapped in a way neither could have realized at the time. The name Sam Elliott didn't yet carry the weight it would eventually gain, but this experience gave him the exposure many actors can only hope for early in their careers. Years later, their lives and careers would become deeply connected in ways no one would have predicted while working on that blockbuster hit. What started as two separate paths moving quietly past each other on a big set would eventually lead Sam and Catherine to intersect again, their shared history on that influential film adding a private layer to their future encounters and collaborations in the entertainment industry. During the late 1960s and into the 1970s, Sam Elliott became an unmistakable face on television as the world around him changed rapidly. Even though the defining role that would make him a household name seemed always just out of reach, He worked steadily, building his craft and reputation. He displayed an unwavering work ethic, taking on every project with commitment and consistency. His dedication opened doors for him to participate in a range of television productions where his unique screen presence stood out, even if the role itself did not propel him to instant fame. Although recognition came slowly, Elliott's time on various series allowed viewers to become familiar with his calm demeanor and distinctive look. Working through challenges and a competitive industry, Elliott made sure to stay active, his face gradually becoming a reliable fixture in American entertainment. This persistence would lay a firm foundation for his future rise in Hollywood, allowing him to develop a steady career path and a loyal fan following. The late 1960s and early 1970s proved to be years of perseverance and visible progress, even if true stardom remained just around the corner. Moving through the world of television, Sam Elliott made a significant mark by stepping into diverse roles that highlighted his broad range as an actor. On the renowned crime drama The FBI, Elliott brought a recognizable presence, offering depth to the procedural storytelling that kept viewers engaged. He also appeared in the science fiction series Land of the Giants, bringing his unique style to a show famous for its imaginative plotlines and larger-than-life adventures. As television viewers tuned into Bracken's world, a behind-the-scenes drama capturing the lives and struggles of those in the entertainment industry, Elliott contributed to the series with performances that blended seamlessly into the show's dramatic environment. Furthermore, his appearances in the Western series Lancer were particularly notable, as he graced 3 episodes, each time displaying his ability to fit naturally within the rugged landscapes and complex characters that define the Western genre. Through these varied roles across well-known shows, Elliott demonstrated a remarkable ability to adapt, whether embodying the law, exploring science fiction, stepping behind the curtain of Hollywood, or entering the untamed West. Each appearance added another layer to his enduring television legacy and left an impression on fans who witnessed his evolving craft. Despite his commitment to television, Sam Elliott managed to carve out a significant moment for himself in film by taking a part in the games. Even though a defining, breakthrough role on the big screen still seemed frustratingly out of reach at that time, this appearance in a feature film showed his dedication to expanding his range as an actor. His on-screen presence, marked by a natural confidence and subtle charm, became more noticeable to audiences and industry insiders alike. With this combination of steady television work and a foray into cinema, he built a reputation for reliability and resilience, establishing a foothold that would support him during those years when leading roles remained just beyond his grasp. Opportunity often grows in slow, and sometimes unnoticed ways, and for Sam Elliott, being found in steady roles on television alongside a movie appearance formed the kind of groundwork that true stars slowly build upon, even when instant fame is absent. These years were filled with quiet determination, and viewers who recognized his face would likely start to notice not just his talent, but also his staying power as the world waited for that elusive breakthrough role to arrive. Meanwhile, while the much-desired breakout movie role seemed just out of reach for Sam Elliott, he relentlessly threw himself into the world of television, determined not to let the pause in his film career slow him down. Across sets and sound stages, he chased every new audition, each time bringing his sincere approach and unmistakable voice to characters both big and small. Though his time on movie screens remained limited to occasional supporting appearances, he grew comfortable and skilled with the unique demands of television. This medium became the heart of his efforts, where he explored a range of parts and steadily built his reputation among both audiences and directors. Sometimes, the television roles offered him chances to stretch his dramatic range, trying out parts from stern lawmen to gentle friends, sometimes even within the same show. Other times, he made a lasting impression even in a brief scene, bringing depth and honesty with just a few words or a slow, considered gesture. Through persistence, he established television as his artistic ground, carving a path for himself and showing a deep dedication to his craft, all without the headline-grabbing fame of a blockbuster film. Gradually moving deeper into the world of television, Elliott's career began to shift from smaller appearances into more substantial and memorable roles, reflecting both his growing talent and the recognition he was starting to receive in the industry. One especially notable period was his recurring role in the celebrated series Mission Impossible, a show that left a significant mark on television history. During his time with Mission Impossible, Elliott appeared in 13 episodes, providing audiences with performances that continued to resonate well after the episodes aired. His distinctive presence, steady voice, and ability to bring nuance to his character made him stand out among the ensemble cast, contributing greatly to the season's dramatic tension and overall momentum. The series itself was known for its intricate plots and dynamic cast interactions, and Elliott's role deepened the sense of intrigue and complexity. As he took on this recurring part, Elliott immersed himself in an environment of suspense, clever storytelling, and ever-shifting allegiances. Fans of the classic series often recall his involvement as a highlight, praising the subtle strength and authenticity he brought to his work. This particular chapter of Elliott's television journey allowed him not only to display his growing range as an actor, but also to connect with a wide television audience, making a lasting impression on those who followed the Mission Impossible storylines during its heyday and in reruns for years to come. Suddenly, in 1974, everything changed when Sam Elliott landed a major part that truly put his talent in the spotlight. It was in the biographical TV film about Evel Knievel, a project that gave him the chance to play a real-life legend known for his daring motorcycle stunts. This role turned out to be a big deal for Elliott, giving him the opportunity to show just how deep and believable his acting could be. The challenge of portraying Evel Knievel wasn't just about copying the famous Daredevil's physical confidence. It was also about exploring the complicated man behind the public image. Elliott approached the role with great dedication, getting into the mind of a man driven by dreams, danger, and big ambitions. For the first time, audiences really saw Elliott's ability to bring complex characters to life. This TV movie marked a turning point and opened up more doors for him in Hollywood. Casting directors noticed his work, and his performance as Knievel remains a standout moment in his early career. Over time, this breakthrough performance shaped the way people saw him, moving him from smaller parts into more prominent roles. Even now, that 1974 film is remembered as the moment when Elliott's journey reached a new level, and his name began to ring out in the world of actors and storytellers. During the years 1976 to 1977, Sam Elliott reached a significant turning point in his career when he was cast as the lead in the 7-part miniseries Once an Eagle. This series, adapted from a best-selling war novel, charged him with a central role that demanded both strength and subtlety. Throughout the miniseries, Elliott became the face of the main character, guiding the narrative and holding the story together as it moved through its complex layers. His performance offered audiences a deep look at his ability to portray emotion, resolve, and character growth, securing his position as a leading man on television. The critical and audience response to the miniseries was positive, and its broad scope helped demonstrate Elliott's range and presence. As a result, Once an Eagle did more than introduce Elliott to new viewers. It marked him as a memorable and talented figure on the television landscape, solidifying his reputation at a time when fewer big television projects had the same cultural reach. The success of the miniseries played a key role in his continued recognition and respect within the industry, further shaping his standing as a notable talent in this era. Decades before Sam Elliott became a recognizable figure with his trademark mustache and baritone voice, his path brushed briefly alongside Katharine Ross during a fleeting moment in the 1969 film Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, though Elliott's role then was small and barely noticed. Nearly 10 years would pass before fate wove their careers together in a meaningful way. In 1978, both Sam Elliott and Katharine Ross were cast in the horror feature The Legacy. This film marked a new chapter for Elliott, as it was his first time seeing his name in lights as a leading man in a major motion picture. Unlike in their earlier film, Elliott now stood center stage, taking on a more commanding and prominent role. Sharing the screen, the two actors navigated a suspenseful story that allowed Elliott to finally showcase his presence and talent beyond background roles. The collaboration in The Legacy was markedly different from their earlier brief connection, showing how careers can unexpectedly align and how minor encounters can lead to significant shared experiences down the road. Suddenly, Sam Elliott found himself at the very center of Hollywood's spotlight thanks to The Legacy. Before this project, he was known mainly for his deep voice, rugged style, and steady, supporting performances, but this film changed everything. Taking on a lead role for the first time in a major production meant stepping into new territory with all eyes on him. Portraying a complex character, he demonstrated not just his established strength and presence but also a subtler emotional depth, adding new layers to his image. Not only did Sam tackle the pressures of leading a major movie, he also discovered something entirely unexpected, a genuine connection with his co-star, Catherine Ross. Their scenes crackled with chemistry, and as filming continued, their bond moved beyond the scripted scenes into something sincere and deeply felt off-screen. The relationship between Sam and Catherine developed quietly at first, right amid the bustle of cameras and crew, and soon blossomed into true romance. Word about their growing affection spread quickly through the set, creating a sense of excitement among everyone involved in the film. Eventually, this off-screen love story drew the attention of the wider Hollywood community. With time, Sam and Catherine's partnership became an enduring symbol within the industry. Their wedding brought a moment of celebration, their connection echoing the strength of their on-screen chemistry. The legacy wasn't just a career breakthrough for Sam Elliott, but also the first chapter in a new personal journey, a moment when his professional ascent was matched by a profound change in his private life. Surprisingly, the romance between Sam Elliott and Catherine Ross began in a way unlike the on-screen tales Sam often portrayed. The seed was planted on the set of Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid in 1969. Although Sam Elliott appeared to exude confidence and rugged charm, the truth is that he felt a sense of awe and hesitation around Catherine Ross. He was absolutely smitten from the beginning. Despite his magnetic presence, he found himself grappling with nerves, unable to muster the courage to approach her romantically during that first encounter. This detail reveals that even someone as outwardly sure of himself as Elliott can be touched by self-doubt and shyness, especially in matters of the heart. Their story goes beyond Hollywood glamour, offering a glimpse of real vulnerability. Observing the early days of their connection, the fact that Sam Elliott hesitated made their eventual romance all the more genuine. The man admired for his boldness on screen was, in private, quietly captivated, watching and waiting from afar. Years later, details about those tentative beginnings came to light, showing us that longing and uncertainty are universal. For Elliott, just laying eyes on Ross was enough to leave him unsettled and unsure, despite the persona he carried. Time would eventually bring them together, but that initial brush marked the start of something quietly powerful, built not on scripted lines or resolute declarations, but on the soft ache of wanting and the patience to wait for the right moment. Yet, even with his well-known deep voice and calm presence, Sam Elliott was not always as sure of himself as he may have seemed. Recalling his first encounter with Catherine Ross, he revealed that he did not dare approach her. Even though people often look at Elliott as the picture of confidence, he saw himself as nothing more than a shadow in her world at that moment. Catherine Ross was already the leading lady on set, a star with a strong screen presence, while Elliott felt invisible, merely a glorified extra standing in the background of a bar scene. He watched the world of Hollywood unfold around him, aware of the hierarchy that placed him far lower than the actors playing larger parts. The experience brought forward a feeling of hesitance that even he could not hide. In later interviews, Elliott openly described looking back on that first meeting and feeling a great divide between their positions. He saw her from afar, understanding that status and reputation in Hollywood can create barriers even for those who seem confident. The story of that first meeting stands out because it makes clear that confidence is not constant. It comes and goes, sometimes fading when faced with strong personalities, fame, or established order. Even today, much after their initial meeting, this reflection from Elliott reminds everyone that the people often viewed as strong or unshakable have their moments of uncertainty and self-doubt. In just a few words, his memory of standing in the background, unsure of whether to speak to Ross, turns a Hollywood story into something more universal, making his experience feel just like those countless moments of hesitation we all experience when faced with someone we admire or think is out of our league. Although the spark between Sam Elliott and Catherine Ross was undeniable, their early romance played out under a complicated cloud. At the very start, Catherine Ross was still legally married to Gano Lisi, who worked as a movie set technician. Even though Catherine's marriage with Lisi was no longer working, and was clearly moving toward divorce, her legal status created immediate tension and uncertainty. In Hollywood, even private lives are closely watched, and for Sam Elliott and Catherine Ross that scrutiny was impossible to avoid. Their connection drew uneasy attention, with whispers about timing and loyalty swirling through both the press and the industry. Many people saw their relationship as controversial precisely because Catherine's marriage to Lisi was not officially over. The press loved to speculate, sometimes exaggerating the complications, and outsiders questioned their decisions. All of this outside attention put extra weight on an already sensitive situation, forcing both Sam and Catherine to face questions not just about their feelings for each other, but about how to handle lingering legal ties and public perception. The evolving relationship was marked by this uncertainty, where each glance and meeting was shadowed by questions no one on the outside could truly answer. And the reality of Hollywood's spotlight made even private problems feel much bigger than they were behind closed doors. Throughout a period marked by uncertainty and strong feelings, Sam Elliott and Catherine showed a deep dedication to each other, even as they faced the challenges of a relationship complicated by Catherine's marriage to Gan Ulissi. Rather than giving in to frustration, they set clear emotional boundaries and respected the legal ties that bound Catherine elsewhere, finding moments for their friendship to deepen in meaningful and subtle ways. As their connection grew stronger, so did their willingness to honor both the past and the possibilities that lay ahead. Time was both a barrier and a guide as they navigated this delicate chapter, careful not to overstep but persistent about their hope. The relationship, at times tested by distance and constraints, thrived on the mutual trust and understanding that grew between them, a testament to their patience and sense of timing. This long wait finally ended when Catherine Ross and Gan Ulissi completed their divorce proceedings. The legal milestone marked more than paperwork. It released the last thread holding Catherine back from building a future with Sam. With this barrier removed, they stepped forward into their bond, no longer needing to hide or restrain their feelings, and finally able to embrace a life together more fully and openly, bringing their shared dreams much closer to reality, a promise realized after all the waiting. Eventually, the legal constraint of divorce became a turning point that changed everything for their relationship. With this barrier removed, the love between Sam Elliott and Catherine Ross could finally progress, free from the shadows of the past and outside interference. The backdrop of this event brings a complex richness to their story. For Catherine Ross, it marked her fourth divorce, a reminder of her rocky path through romance and marriage. Her journey, lined with previous marriages and the ups and downs those bring, stood in stark contrast to the experience of Sam Elliott. Despite his mature years and time spent in Hollywood, he had never entered marriage before this point. The differences in their histories are striking. Catherine carried the weight of multiple marriages and heartbreak, while Sam faced the unknown as a first-time husband. Their union, therefore, was anything but typical. It was shaped by their distinct backgrounds, the scars of earlier relationships for one, and the untested waters of commitment for the other. This contrast added depth and complexity to their bond, making it clear that every lasting connection often comes after unexpected journeys and heartbreaks, especially when the final legal hurdle falls away and love gets the chance to stand in the light without any further obstruction or hesitation. Meanwhile, as Sam Elliott and Catherine Ross found their careers flourishing, their private lives became a magnet for public curiosity. Paparazzi, gossip columns, and glossy magazines shifted their focus onto the couple, feeding on every detail of their romance. Much of this overwhelming attention stemmed from the buzz surrounding Sam Elliott's neon-lit mooning scene in the film The Legacy, a moment that lingered in public memory and fueled more gossip than either expected. Suddenly, Sam's personal life was just as interesting to audiences as his deep voice and iconic mustache. When the couple appeared on the cover of Playgirl magazine in October 1979, with headlines crowning them Hollywood's sexiest couple, the fascination reached a fever pitch. Overnight, invites to interviews multiplied, and speculation about their marriage captured headlines nationally, pushing them further from any hope of a quiet existence. Gone were the days of slipping unnoticed through airports or dining out without furtive stares. Privacy dissolved under the relentless flash of cameras. As the tabloids circled, even casual moments between the two morphed into public property, and stories about their day-to-day life began to shape their reputation, sometimes overshadowing their professional work. The wave of notoriety that followed marked a turning point, as they learned to navigate fame that, while rewarding in some ways, demanded the sacrifice of ordinary moments. Although Sam Elliott became known to many as a sex symbol, this new label didn't sit comfortably with him. The sudden spotlight on his looks was a challenge he did not expect, and it became a problem when it started overshadowing his true purpose as an actor. Even as fans and the industry honed in on his rugged appearance and romantic appeal, Elliott pushed back against these outside opinions. He stated clearly that he did not want his image or private life to become the focus. He spoke openly about how uncomfortable it made him feel when people tried to define him by physical traits instead of his work. He once said that the label of a sex symbol brought a kind of stigma he wished to avoid, emphasizing he simply wanted recognition as Sam Elliott, nothing more or less. This feeling revealed how much he wanted his career to reflect his talent and effort, not just how he looked on screen. Instead of basking in the attention, he was intent on forging a reputation as a serious actor, hoping to leave behind anything superficial. His reluctance to accept the tag highlighted his values and his drive to stay true to himself, focusing only on his abilities and his legacy in film, not fleeting trends or audience fantasies. However, while many actors might have embraced the spotlight and leaned into the fame that comes from labels like heartthrob or leading man, Sam Elliott always kept his focus on his work. He carried himself with a quiet strength, showing through his choices that the meaning behind each role and the weight of his performances mattered more to him than flashy headlines or rumors. That sense of privacy extended to his personal life as well, especially when it came to his relationship with Catherine Ross. The connection between Sam and Catherine was neither rushed nor overly shown to the public. They allowed their love to grow steadily over 6 years. Throughout their relationship, they navigated very different sets of experiences. For Sam, this was his first time considering marriage. He had never gone through a formal commitment like this before, which brought a sense of anticipation and newness. Catherine, on the other hand, was stepping into her 5th marriage, bringing with her a perspective shaped by both past challenges and hopes for future happiness. When they finally decided to marry in 1984, it was after truly getting to know each other and letting their bond strengthen over time, building a partnership that, despite notable differences in life journeys, was anchored in genuine affection and respect. However, despite what might have seemed like a mismatch based on their earlier life experiences, their relationship developed into one of those rare Hollywood stories that stands apart for its unwavering strength and warmth. They took their vows in 1984, making a clear and sincere choice to stand beside each other as partners in every way. That ceremony was more than just a formality. It stood as a true marker of the strong bond they shared, a meaningful turning point that started a long, shared journey. Their union quickly became more than a private matter, serving almost as an example of commitment in a world where not many celebrity marriages last. They embraced the promise to face every challenge side by side, letting their connection grow deeper with each passing year, weathering both the public spotlight and the quieter moments together. Over time, their marriage has continued as a steady presence, built on the trust and sense of shared purpose that was there from the very beginning. Amid the many milestones in their lives, the arrival of Cleo Rose Elliott marked a turning point for Sam and Catherine. That year, their family expanded in the most meaningful way with the birth of their first and only daughter. The joy that Cleo brought into their home was immediate and unmistakable, imbuing each day with a new sense of purpose and wonder. Parenthood became both a privilege and a responsibility, and Sam and Catherine approached it with unwavering dedication. The routines of everyday life began to revolve around Cleo's needs and development, blending late-night feedings, sleepless nights, and the laughter that only a child's presence can bring. Each moment, whether filled with play, gentle guidance, or just the quiet comfort of togetherness, deepened the bond that united them as a family. The notable shift was not only felt in those precious daily rituals, but also in the way both Sam and Catherine supported each other. Their shared dedication made them stronger, building a partnership rooted in mutual care and unconditional love. With Cleo's arrival, the couple discovered a level of fulfillment and enrichment that could not have existed before. Their home echoing with happiness and hugs, their lives shaped by the small and significant milestones that parenthood introduces. Even as they faced the inevitable challenges and surprises that come with raising a child, Sam and Catherine's approach never wavered. They embraced every experience with heartfelt devotion, weaving together the shared joys and lessons of raising Cleo, and creating memories that would last long after childhood passed. At the height of his rising career, Sam Elliott was poised for a unique and potentially career-defining role in the 1982 TV movie The Ambush Murders. This true story, widely discussed across the country in the 1970s, follows the wrongful conviction of a black activist accused of killing 2 white police officers. Central to the drama is the figure of the defense lawyer who takes on the system to fight for the activist's freedom. Sam Elliott was set to give life to this courageous character. His calm authority and understated emotion made him a natural fit for such an important role. The project quickly captured the attention of audiences and industry insiders who looked forward to seeing Elliott take on a character full of complexity and principle. However, just as everything seemed to be falling into place, timing changed everything. While on his honeymoon in Hawaii, Elliott received an urgent call from his agent, informing him about the opportunity and the critical need to be back in California for a screen test. Despite the excitement and anticipation around the role, Elliott realized he could not return in time. The offer slipped away. The chance seemed minor at first, just another role passing by. Yet this missed opportunity would linger as a significant what if in his journey, something that might have sent his career down an unexpected path, given how central the defense lawyer was to the story, and how much his performance was anticipated by industry watchers who sensed the gravity and challenged the part held. Nothing could quite touch the odd combination of excitement and regret Elliott must have felt in those quiet moments, knowing a door had closed but never quite understanding how far it might have led. Initially, there was a great deal of enthusiasm around the casting choice, but things quickly changed when unexpected health issues sidelined Sam Elliott early on in the production of the ambush murders. The crew, faced with the sudden absence of their lead, had to act swiftly, and the result was James Brolin being brought in as a replacement. Changing actors during filming is actually quite common in the film industry, where flexibility is crucial due to the unpredictable nature of production schedules and human circumstances. Yet, even as such adjustments are expected, they always bring speculation about what might have been. Imagining Sam Elliott in the original lead role sparks curiosity because of his unique acting style, well known for its subtle depth and powerful on-screen presence. Fans and critics alike often wonder how his involvement could have shifted the tone or energy of the movie. Elliott's performances typically introduce a special gravitas, a certain understated intensity, that can shape the overall feel of a film. Considering his reputation for bringing both warmth and authority to characters, some wonder if his portrayal would have lent the ambush murders a different atmosphere, perhaps layering the narrative with an emotional depth or a rugged authenticity that only he could deliver. Each casting change brings with it a distinct set of possibilities and questions, leaving viewers to imagine how the story and its impact might have shifted from what finally came to be. Suddenly, Sam Elliott's life changed with his role in the film Mask. Before this moment, he had worked for many years as an actor, but had not yet reached wide recognition. Mask was a deeply moving drama, and in it he shared the screen with Cher, an acclaimed actress and singer who had already won both an Oscar and a Grammy. Elliott played a biker who seemed tough and gruff on the outside, but showed a gentle and caring spirit, especially in his relationship with Cher's character. Together, they tried to manage everyday life, which was full of challenges, as they raised her son, who had a serious disability. The story was heartfelt, and allowed Elliott to display his skills as an actor in ways he hadn't before. Audiences and critics saw a different side of him, one that was more complex and deeply human. The movie's success helped everyone see what he could do, and opened the path to new opportunities. Getting to this point, though, was not easy. There were many obstacles, from tough auditions to the struggle of finding roles that let his talent shine. Yet, it was perseverance that helped Elliott get through the difficulties and find this pivotal part that would become the turning point in his career. Unexpected twists can sometimes shape a career more than carefully laid plans, and for Sam Elliott, this was never more true than during the events leading up to his breakthrough role in the film Mask. While he was on his honeymoon in Hawaii, he first considered declining the opportunity to audition. The distance and timing made it impractical, and he leaned towards passing up the chance. However, Catherine Ross, his wife, saw the bigger picture. She knew what the role could mean for him, and recognized the unique fit it offered. Without waiting for Sam to change his mind, Catherine took control of the situation. She directly contacted his agent, determined that Sam should not miss out on the screen test that could open new doors for him. Despite the honeymoon setting and the challenges of coordinating from across the ocean, Catherine was unyielding with her conviction. Her actions made it possible for Sam Elliott to be at the screen test, regardless of the obstacles. This display of support and resolve from Catherine Ross became a turning point, dramatically impacting Sam's career path and securing an opportunity that might have otherwise slipped away. Looking back, Kate's initiative proved massive for Sam Elliott, marking the moment when his career shifted course toward stardom in high-profile Hollywood films. The opportunity she paved didn't just let him audition, it opened the doors wider than ever before, giving him a shot at bigger stories, wider audiences, and a place among industry heavyweights. This was cemented with his role in Mask, where he worked alongside Cher, a giant talent who at that time was not only a widely respected actress, but also one of the most famous and powerful singers around. In the movie, Elliott played Gar, a compassionate biker who brings warmth and strength to the people around him. This character, fully realized through Sam's performance, showed a new dimension to his acting abilities. He managed something rare by standing up dramatically to Cher's formidable presence without being overshadowed, and their scenes became some of the most compelling parts of the film. Rather than playing a background note to her star power, Sam Elliott became an equal and memorable force, and Mask transformed from just another film into a key highlight for both actors' careers. His portrayal of Gar drew out emotions, gentle protection, understanding, and grit that audiences and critics noticed, proving that his talent could flourish even under the brightest and toughest spotlight. Because of Kate's determined push, and the way Sam handled his role so confidently, everyone could see he wasn't a supporting face anymore, but an actor ready for the big-budget movies and lasting fame. Even so, Sam Elliott's career took a sharp turn with a breakthrough performance that drew attention beyond what most secondary characters receive. Critics and audiences alike were drawn to his nuanced portrayal of compassionate biker Gar, so much so that his work rivaled the film's leading performances by Eric Stoltz and Cher. The Los Angeles Times made specific mention of Elliott, underscoring how unusual it was for a supporting actor to earn such significant recognition in a film crowded with established stars. While Stoltz and Cher naturally carried much of the spotlight, Elliott's gravitas drew viewers in every time he appeared on screen. His towering presence and commanding height, together with rugged good looks, made him an unforgettable figure, reinforcing what many people see as the classic image of toughness and masculinity. Having grown up surrounded by the outdoors shaped not only his manner, but also the quality of conviction he brought to each role, particularly this one, where empathy and strength had to exist side by side. It's this combination of presence and authenticity that gave Elliott an edge, making his character unforgettable and bringing a sense of depth that went far beyond the scripted lines. Critics didn't just praise his appearance or casting, they highlighted how he gave Gar a genuine sense of warmth and care, an anchor that let the film's emotional elements breathe. Even among a cast filled with attention-grabbing personalities, Elliott was able to quietly become a central point of interest, his mix of stoic confidence and subtle vulnerability drawing the audience's focus every time he stepped on camera. Often, it's the understated performances that leave the biggest impact, and in Elliott's case, he managed to balance the film's intense emotional tone with a steady, believable presence that perfectly matched the visual storytelling. What set Elliott apart wasn't just the physicality he brought, but the lived-in sincerity arising from an upbringing rooted in real, outdoor experience. That foundation became part of his screen persona, building the legacy of an actor who didn't just look the part, but inhabits it fully. Consequently, Sam Elliott's deep connection to the Western genre sets him apart in the world of film. His work across many movies places him squarely within the history of iconic Westerns, as his performances have consistently channeled the qualities that define the best stories of the American frontier. In films like Tombstone, Elliott brings to life the stoic and steadfast lawman, blending toughness with an unmistakable air of dignity. His presence in The Quick and the Dead continues this tradition, as he effortlessly slips into the boots of resilient characters shaped by the hardship and mystery of the Old West. The High-Low Country and You Know My Name offer more examples of how Elliott becomes almost synonymous with the genre, using his gravelly voice, calm steadiness, and quietly powerful delivery. Each portrayal holds a subtlety that makes his cowboys memorable, not simply as tough men with guns, but as human beings shaped by loss, hope, and a need for justice. Even in The Desperate Trail, he manages to bring something fresh to the familiar terrain of Western drama, ensuring that every role feels distinct yet bound to the common spirit of the genre. Throughout all these stories, the audience feels the landscape, an era through Elliott's eyes, understanding the struggles, dreams, and determination that built the myth of the American West. Over the years, admiration grew for Sam Elliott's unmistakable presence and voice, both of which became a hallmark of Western cinema. His steady performances in films and television roles symbolize the values and stories of the American West, adding an authentic depth that resonated with generations of audiences. As his career moved forward, those who cherished Western storytelling found in Elliott a performer who captured the grit, determination, and straightforward honesty associated with the legendary characters of the frontier. By 2007, recognition for Elliott's considerable work came in a significant way when the National Cowboy and Western Heritage Museum bestowed upon him one of its most respected honors, inducting him into their Hall of Great Western Performers. This induction was not just a nod to the roles he played, but a celebration of a living legacy, an actor whose commitment and distinctive style carried the spirit of the cowboy era into modern times. For fans, and the Western genre itself, Elliott's presence marked an enduring connection to the classic American story, and the award from the museum underscored how deeply his performances had become a part of that living tradition. Growing up, Sam Elliott developed his unique outdoors ruggedness and powerful work ethic, which truly set him apart from other Hollywood stars. This toughness and sense of hard work did not happen by accident. Instead, they grew from his formative years, where the values of resilience, perseverance, and groundedness became a way of life for him. Sam Elliott has never shied away from talking about his upbringing, making it clear that his journey as a hardworking tough guy began much earlier than his Hollywood days. He often explains how his childhood environment shaped him, giving him both an appreciation of the natural world and a respect for getting the job done right. Immersed in an atmosphere where grit was expected and rewards were earned, Sam learned the importance of doing honest work, staying true to oneself, and pushing through tough times without complaint. Those who know his background can see the direct line between his upbringing and the strength he brings to every role. He often credits his family, his surroundings, and the values passed down to him as the real foundation beneath his screen persona. Not only did Sam Elliott's path to success require skill and determination, but it also depended on the kind of practical toughness and ethics that only come from an upbringing rooted in hard work and authenticity. From a young age, Sam Elliott found his sense of strength and character taking root in the moments he shared with his father and his father's close friends. These men, described by Elliott as true men's men and serious outdoorsmen, were not just passing figures on the sidelines of his childhood, but daily companions in the making of his beliefs and temperament. Days spent with these strong-willed, self-reliant men became the blueprint for what Elliott would later embody on screen, and in life a man whose steadiness and grit could withstand life's challenges. These experiences taught him the importance of hard work, not simply as a means to an end, but as a way of defining oneself in the world. Whether it was through watching his father navigate the responsibilities of adulthood, or absorbing the practical lessons these men carried from nature and hard labor, Elliott credits them with nurturing his resilience. Their displays of toughness were not only about physical strength, but also about facing difficulties head-on, standing tall even when the world seemed against them. This upbringing did more than just shape Elliott's approach to work. It emphasized values that deeply influenced the choices he made and the roles he would grow to embody. Rather than following trends or seeking easy roads, Elliott chose paths marked by challenge and honest effort, insisting that a job well done was determined by commitment and integrity. Through every lesson learned around campfires or working alongside these men, the foundation for Elliott's signature persona was laid, manifesting in both the rugged demeanor and unwavering work ethic for which he is known. Naturally gifted with a distinctive presence, Sam Elliott's ruggedness can be traced back to his genes, but that's just part of the story. Growing up in a household led by a strong father and surrounded by his father's friends, Elliott was shaped daily by the tough work ethic and quiet strength they all seemed to carry. These men showed him the value of working with your hands, keeping calm under pressure, and meeting challenges head-on, qualities that later became central to his reputation both in life and on screen. He watched closely as his father approached obstacles with determination and honesty, learning that grit often matters as much as raw talent. The encouragement and high expectations of his father combined with the camaraderie and stories shared by his father's peers gave Elliott an early sense of responsibility and a taste for hard work. This unique mix of nature and nurture made all the difference in how he carried himself, blending innate traits with life lessons learned through example. Each formative experience nudged him a little closer to the hardworking and resilient person audiences recognize today. Whether he was facing personal challenges or preparing for demanding film roles, the groundwork set by his upbringing supported him at every